Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the briefing for Thursday, the 13th of June. Well, so taking a look at the synoptic, unfortunately, the reasonable weather we've had is coming to an end. You can see midday today, we've got this low pressure system just off to the western side of Ireland, as well as another one centered over here in the Atlantic. And that's just throwing with it a load of fronts our way. And you can also see these isobars wrapping around the low pressure becoming quite tight, bringing with it an increasing, fairly strong southwesterly flow. As we wind this forward to midnight tonight, you can see the first front has passed over the top, and we've got a second one over the top of us, followed by no less than two more, and they're all occlusions. By midday tomorrow, we've got the edge of that occlusion sat over the front of us. So a little bit unpredictable tomorrow, but today should be okay. Okay, let's wind back to midday today until that front arrives, which at midday, being over sort of the very west coast, probably means we've got until about 3, 4 o'clock until the weather starts to deteriorate. At least I hope that's the case. Winds today, then, generally south-southwest, so between 180 and 200 at about 25 to 30 knots at flying height. So there's a fair wind today, and we'll come back to that. Cloud, well, not a whole lot to report there. Increasing cloud from the west as these fronts are getting closer. You can see that just progressing our way, and you can't really see the exact effects of them, but you can see generally it's looking pretty thick the further west you go. So here we are. Here is the progression of the front at the moment. I think it's quite slow moving, but it's just over the west coast at the moment. Okay, if we run through the rainfall forecast, you can see heading our way. Once it gets here, it's going to definitely be here, and that will be it for today. So it's actually showing the first few spots of rain coming potentially a little bit earlier. This is 1:30, and it's showing some showers on the front of the front. And it looks like the main band will be getting here anywhere between about 2:30 and 3 to 4 o'clock. So potentially showery from about 1 to 2 p.m. onwards, and probably written off between anywhere about 3 and 4 p.m. by the looks of it. And you can see after 4, by the time it gets here, it's going to be wet, and it's going to be pretty horrible all night. Going into the early hours of tomorrow. Public forecast then, I'm just going to give this a refresh if it's changed. Yes, it has. So it's just showing cloud this morning, and then it's picking up now showers from 2 p.m. This is likely, certainly the first few hours of this is likely to change every hour. They just keep refreshing this and it'll keep changing. But most certainly here you see 90% rain from 4 p.m. onwards. So definitely miserable from 4, potentially deteriorating from about 2. I think the takeaway is from this. Temperature of about 13 degrees, and with probably not a lot of sun on the ground and quite a stiff breeze, it's not going to feel warm. Seems to be a bit of a trend for this year. You can see gusts increasing as the day goes on, and by the afternoon, over 20 knots. And if we do manage to stay out until later in the afternoon, potentially mid-20s or even high 20s. So quite breezy. Humidity relatively low at the moment, 70% or so, and increasing from about 2 p.m. as the front gets closer, and up towards 80 and 90% as we go later into the afternoon, and almost at 100% by midnight. Okay, so midday, 13 to 14 degrees potentially. We wind it forward to when the front has actually gone through or going through 4 p.m. Yeah, it cools down a little bit, 10, 13 degrees. I'm sorry, 10 or 11 degrees. Dew points at midday, 7, 8 or 9 degrees by the looks of it. And then by the time the front goes through, that all increases 9 to 10 degrees, and you can see higher further to the west. And if we keep going forward to the evening, yeah, maybe 11 degrees, 12 degrees. Current view outside, well, it was about 20 minutes ago. Just give it a refresh. Yeah, you can see there's actually cumulus developing. Maybe it is mildly soarable at the moment. I think it's reasonably high. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. So Farnborough's Taff, they're showing Not quite sure what they're showing here. 3 knots of wind from variable directions. I think that's quite right. They're showing scattered at 4,000 though. We'll ignore that one. Odium looks a bit more reasonable, but it's quite out of date. So they're not very useful today, to be honest. Top Meteo then, potential flight distances as shows, not very good. Unsurprisingly, where there is soaring, it's further to the east, further away from these fronts. If we wind through the thermals this morning, 10 a.m., yeah, potentially up to about 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet at 11, and then deteriorating from about midday, and any soaring would have certainly finished by about 3 o'clock. And you see the showers coming in. Just look at our site forecast. Thermal strength of about 1 knot from 10 a.m. and staying about 1 knot by the looks of it until about 12. It's showing 2 knots here at 2 p.m., but I find that unlikely. Usable height above the ground about 2,500 feet. Top Meteor's got a bit more of an optimistic lookout on the actual weather today. So this is 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and it's showing the rain to be quite a long way to the west and not really getting here until about at least 4, maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. So they're a little bit more optimistic with the rain. I think they're being a bit overly optimistic, to be honest. Okay, good news is there's no NOTAMs today. Operationally, it's going to be a standard setup on runway 23. So the launch point here. We'll have the cables running down into the runway and probably put the winch over here just because there's quite a lot of southerly in the wind. Okay, winch launching off the grass towards the southwest and aero towing also off the grass on this side in this direction. So standard setup on 2-3, all landings in the direction of 2-3, please. Okay, today we've got 3 K21, 7, 7, 4, 5, and 6, and I think they will all be coming out. 2 K13, Sierra and Hotel, 2 Baby Grobs, SH6 and 7, and all 3 discuses. Just if you are flying the K13s, Baby Grobs, and discuses, please be extra careful with the wind. We might need to put those away at midday, depending on how much it picks up. And just going back to that, it is a very strong wind potentially at times today. So stronger than we've had in a while. So remember the basics, nice and high on the approach, steep and lots of airspeed, please, and not going very far downwind really at all. Winch launches, obviously you'll be off the ground very quickly and don't pull back too hard, especially if the speed's increasing as you're more likely to break the weak links on a gusty day. They have scheduled a 757 departure. I was notified of 8 a.m. and I haven't been told since, and it hasn't gone since. I'm just having a look now. The latest it's showing is a departure at 9:30. So we'll see how that goes. But at some point, we're going to have a 757 departing. So I suggest you DI the gliders, start taking them out towards 2-3. And if the movement is going at 9:30, I won't bring out the launch point all the way and we'll just let that go. And then we'll fully set up and get going. If I do put the launch point out, then you know you can just get going straight away. Simulator serviceable if we need it later this afternoon. And a little bit of a moan from the workshop and for myself. Please make sure we're lifting the tail wheels when we're turning the tail heavy gliders. That's SH6 especially, and the discuses. Please don't lift the tail wheel by the rudder or really anything at the back of the glider other than the actual tail boom itself. Really, you should be using the tail dollies or pressing down the nose. It's quite important. If you're just dragging it around the corner, you're likely to pull the tyre off the rim or potentially actually cause structural damage. So could everyone please be aware of that? Okay, I will see you out there. We'll go and get hopefully most of the day out of it. Bye for now.